Alright everyone, 3 points for Celtic yesterday, but to say that it was pretty would be one hell of an understatement. Having said that, 3 points are all that really matter at this stage of the season, right? Maybe. Let's talk Dundee Celtic. Yeah, I guess that's kind of how this video is going to go. I'm not really convinced that this is a particularly great Celtic team, certainly not one that plays exhilarating football that I absolutely love to see. They're, definitely not playing the same level of football we were the previous 2 seasons to this, but I guess we've known that all season. We didn't just find that out yesterday. That's been, apparent for the entire campaign. And it just kind of goes back to what I said after the Aberdeen game last week that was obviously in the Cup. And yeah, that was even more nervy than yesterday. But I guess they were kind of similar Celtic performances in both of those matches. That's kind of what our season is now. I think anyone expecting to be blown away by exhilarating football that, as I say, will get you off your seat between now and the end of the season is probably going to be disappointed. We're going to see more of these kind of matches when it's going to be about Celtic getting the win rather than, putting in wonderful performances that blow us away. That's just kind of where we're at right now. Yesterday was like that again. And yeah, at the end of the season, I don't think it's going to be particularly pretty, but I back the team to get to where they need to be and get the results that they need to get there. Yeah, remember that banner we had when the team got that kind of see off the team event prior to the last derby at Ibrox, and the words "by any means necessary" were on that banner. And I just think that's where we're at right now. That's the season. You can forget style. It's all about just winning at all costs now. And to their credit, the team have managed to do that in recent weeks. Yeah, league table. This is what we're looking at. And yeah, yesterday was a huge victory. It means that we're still 3 points ahead of Rangers. We're now down to just 4 matches left now for each team. The goal difference is in our favour. We're 5 ahead there as well, which I'd say is, not insurmountable for Rangers, but is a decent advantage to have with just 4 games to go. We'll return to this overall picture in a little bit. For now, I'll just tackle the game yesterday, and it may not take that long, because as I say, I feel like it was one of those examples of the result being the be-all and end-all. I know people might disagree with that, and we'll come on to maybe some of the worries that people have, and I think they're valid worries and valid concerns going into some of certainly the biggest games of the season over the next few weeks. I thought we did just about enough yesterday at a challenging venue against a decent team by Premiership standards. I know it was a little bit nervy late on. That was just as a result of what the match meant and the fact that it was just 1 goal and the fact that Dundee were kind of, making us defend a little bit. They had the majority of the play late on, putting balls into the box. That's always going to happen in these games when you're holding on to a narrow lead. I think it's important to point out that Dundee didn't really create much in the game yesterday. I mean, their goal wasn't a result of them doing anything special. It was Adam Ida having a bit of a nightmare and slicing at a ball that he should just have left for Joe Hart to try and save, or that was even if it was going on target. It was a bit of a nightmare from him, to be honest. But, these things happen. To be honest, we maybe didn't actually... I wouldn't say we cut Dundee open very often. I was kind of thinking back to our main chances and, I watched the highlights to help me with that. And pretty much all of our shots, bar, I think, James Forrest's second goal, were from some sort of distance. So you think back, like James Forrest's first goal is, I think, just outside the box or just on the line. Real Hatate's shot in the second half was just inside the box, but it's still a kind of medium range effort. Kuhn had a couple of shots early on that what you would describe as kind of long range shots. So that was kind of yesterday. We didn't really cut Dundee open and create any absolute clear-cut opportunities, bar the James Forrest second goal. But as I say, our finishing, James Forrest finishing was the difference yesterday. And yeah, the man of the match, star of the show, undoubtedly was him yesterday. And I don't think the question has ever been, can James Forrest produce goals and assists for Celtic in the Premiership at grounds like Dens Park? I mean, he has a really good record in these kind of games. And I think what you know about James Forrest is that he will give you, moments in these matches, whether it be goals or assists. Obviously, a couple of goals yesterday. And when you compare him to the other wingers that he's kind of vying, competing with to get in the team, Yang, Kuhn, Palma, I think those three are, depending on your viewpoint, are either, extremely inconsistent, not up for the fight, or just plainly not good enough. I don't think you can level any of those accusations at James Forrest. We know James Forrest is good enough. We know he has the ability to stand up in matches like yesterday. No one's massively surprised that James Forrest scored 2 goals yesterday, even though he's, not played virtually all season, and obviously scored at Hampden last week. And I think, as I say, consistency in these matches is not an issue that James Forrest has really struggled with. I mean, his kind of goal scoring record, assist record over his time at the club has been pretty good, I would say. So yeah, that's how I felt going into this game. And to be honest, going into Aberdeen last week as well, I just felt, given how Forrest had played coming off the bench, that he was just a more proven, reliable option than the 3 players I've already mentioned. And I think that was proven yesterday. The big question was, can he start matches and impact matches from the start, or can he just do it from the bench now? And to be honest, as fans, we don't really know. We're only going off what people have said this season. And Brendan Rodgers while he has called James Forrest the best winger at the club, and obviously those comments look, pretty good a couple of months on, he's also made it clear that, James Forrest isn't the player that he was during Rodgers' first spell. He said that in his first interview back at the start of this season, Rodgers, and he even yesterday said, he's not got the legs he once had. So I feel like he's always got that caveat with James Forrest, but clearly the two of them have a pretty good relationship. Forrest said after the game yesterday that he feels he's played his best football of his career under Brendan Rodgers. So yeah, yesterday I thought it was interesting. Forrest started for the first time in a while, and lasted pretty well, I would say. And going forward, he's someone who I think has to start for us. I think that's pretty nailed on at this stage, given what he brought us yesterday. I mean, he did more yesterday than Yang's done all season, probably. Did more than Kuhn has probably done in a Celtic shirt so far, albeit only in maybe 4 or 5 months. Palma has created big moments, but Forrest did more yesterday than Palma has since probably November or something like that. So he's the most informed player. He's shown that, and I want him to be in the team going forward, and I think he will be after yesterday. The side point, and probably the more kind of general point about what's going on at the club, it's probably not a great look that we signed 4 wingers this season if you add Marco Tilio in, and James Forrest is still, far more of a proven, reliable option than any of them, despite Forrest playing, I think, in his 15th season for Celtic. Now, I know Forrest isn't necessarily old, but I just think it probably doesn't say a lot about the club's recruitment in that area, that we're not really sure about any of these wingers that have been signed. And we're kind of looking at Forrest and Maida probably as being our main wingers for the rest of the season once Maida's back. I do think, Kuhn can offer us something between now and the end of the season. I'm not down on his hopes at all. I think he was quite quiet yesterday and probably has been for the last couple of games. Yang I'm not sure about, to be honest. I made that clear. Palma, the same. There's talent there with Palma. We're just not seeing it at the moment. And as I say, Forrest for me starts going forward. He's just such a humble guy, who you saw that after the game. I thought it was really interesting scenes after the match when the team, walked over to the support and they were going to do the and usually the custom is for the match winner to go ahead and do it. And James Forrest, like, it wasn't as if he was kind of like acting shy and being like, oh, go on, someone maybe shove me in front and then I can pretend and do it. He actually just didn't want to do it. It was like about the team rather than him. And I thought that was a really interesting insight into what he's like. And he certainly is like that as a person, such a nice guy. And I just love seeing him doing well. He'll always have his detractors, and he's probably one of these guys that we won't realise what he's brought to the party until he leaves the club, and that's the brutal kind of truth about it. But Brendan Rodgers really rates him. I love these quotes from him after the game, speaking to the media. He said, "I said to the guys afterwards, he's one of the remaining fathers of the success that this club has had over the last decade or so. Very few of them left, but he's one who has created this mentality and the symbol of quality over this last decade. I'm so pleased for him. He may not quite have the legs he had a few years back, but he still has the quality. That doesn't diminish." So James Forrest, undoubtedly the big plus from yesterday. And yeah, overall, I get why people are a bit concerned about the way the team are playing at this very moment, and I think there's valid concerns there. I think Callum McGregor's one we should probably discuss briefly. It has not been good in recent weeks. I actually thought the team performed better when Tomoki Iwata came on yesterday. I don't know if it's a case of McGregor not being fully fit, carrying an injury perhaps. I don't know if it's him not being match fit, or if it's just McGregor underperforming a little bit. I'm pretty sure he'll start next week against Hearts, and hopefully it's just a case of him getting more minutes in and being ready for the derby. And there's a wider point I want to make about these upcoming matches with the teams that I'll do in a few minutes. It wasn't just McGregor though yesterday. Matt O'Reilly was quiet. I didn't think Rio Hatate had a particularly good game. As I say, Kuhn started brightly but faded quite quickly and didn't offer as much after that. Kyogo wasn't really involved in the game. There's valid concerns about the way the team have played over the past couple of weeks, but I'm just not sure it's totally relevant as to what's to come, and I'll explain why. Celtic have risen to the occasion this season in the big games, and you look at like the derbies, those are the matches we've put in some of our best performances and got positive results, I would say, in all three derbies so far. You also look at our Celtic Park record, and while we've had some issues at home this season, in recent times, since our draw with Kilmarnock in mid-February, the one that had everyone basically looking at the situation and going, yeah, I'm kind of doubting if we've got it in us to win the league. Since that moment, I think we've played 4 home matches, scored 17 goals, conceded 4. Like, the team have really found their feet at Celtic Park and scored a hell of a lot of goals. We're now looking at a situation where we've got back-to-back home games coming up, and we've not had a lot of home games recently. You've got Hearts next Saturday, Rangers the following Saturday, and we now know that if we win those 2 matches, the job will pretty much be done in terms of winning the league. It might not be won mathematically, but we win our next 2 matches and we're 6 points clear with 6 to play for. Obviously we don't lose the league from that situation. Now, while I do have long-term concerns over, a number of issues, and some short-term ones as well, Callum McGregor, Liam Scales, etc., I think those concerns I have are outweighed by the belief I have in the manager, the captain, our goalkeeper, other members of the squad, like James Forrest, that this Celtic team are going to rise to the occasion over the next 2 matches and get to where they need to be. And by the way, as much as I've mentioned the derby like a minute ago or so, forget about that for now. Focus on next Saturday, 3 p.m, 60,000 at Celtic Park, welcoming a Hearts team who have beat us the last couple of times they've played us. We've got them at Celtic Park in front of all of our fans when everyone is going to be focused on getting a victory that just gets us that big bit closer to winning the league. I think that's going to be an absolutely massive afternoon, and I thought it was interesting that Brendan Rodgers actually brought that up after the game yesterday, quoted as saying, "I'm really excited about next week. With 60,000, the atmosphere will be amazing. The pitch will be amazing. Hopefully we can play a level of football and get another really good result." So in summary, I think a lot of the concerns that many of you have are valid, and I feel a lot of them too. But it comes down to a simple question for me. Do you back this Celtic team to rise to the occasion like they've proven they can do this season, and to win their next 2 matches, knowing what that would mean? Hearts next week, Rangers the following week. That's what's required right now. And you know, I know what my answer is. I think the team 100% will rise to that. I think there's concerns there. Some of them can probably be parked until the summer when we can look at recruitment and stuff like that. You know, the shorter term ones with the likes of Callum McGregor, I back him to get to where he needs to be, and the team to get to where they need to be over these next 2 matches. It really is these next 2 matches. Win them both, and we're looking at another league title. Like, that's how close we are at the moment. But it is, you know, 2 tough matches, second and third best team in the league. I thought it was interesting, by the way, that Brendan Rodgers referenced a good pitch at Celtic Park next weekend. He clearly felt that the pitch at Dens Park had some sort of impact on our performance yesterday. So that's worth bearing in mind as well. The support were brilliant at Dens Park as well, making noise as they always do. And I loved this video, which was shared by @VixMcLean, of Joe Hart getting involved after the game. And that kind of reaction from Joe Hart is exactly what I mean. Like, he wants to kind of harness the support of the Celtic support, and I think a number of the players will feel like that. And I just think that you can't underestimate the difference of us going back to Celtic Park for our next 2 matches. We've got back-to-back home games where it's all in our hands. We're 3 points clear with 4 games to go. Like, there's worse situations to be in, and I just think Celtic are going to rise to this. Next Saturday, going to be absolutely massive. Obviously the following Saturday as well. Kind of sad I can't go to either of them, I'll be honest with you, but I'm sure whoever, you know, of you are going will make, you know, lots of noise, and it's going to be 2 massive games. Obviously we'll focus on the first one against Hearts first. Plenty of build up this week. I think there's stuff to be worked on. We can certainly play better than yesterday, but this stage of the season, as cliched as it sounds, it is just about picking up win after win after win, and regardless of how they do it at the moment, they're finding a way to do it. And yeah, we move on to Hearts on Saturday.